Hey, uh, today I got this question that I've been asking almost anyone and everyone that I'm meeting. I've been asking this question, this question that is been throwing out. So, what change? What change will that occur to you if you have 30 or 60 siblings? What change? What change would that be in your mind if you have 30 or 60 siblings, okay, or you have 30 or 60 children. So if you mind, it will be advisable for you to pause the video and then think through and then think carefully and then come back to this video clip and see the whole until the end of it. Why I even consider or even think about this, that would explain it out, the intention and reason behind this. So but then I hope you would do that. But again, it's optional, right? It's not a big deal. But here's the part that one of the common things that I noticed that people had. I did ask this to my 40-year-old kid, and he came back to me with this response. His first response is that, hey, how are we going to feed them, right? You have 30 brothers, 30 brothers and sisters. How are we going to feed them, right? So imagine, right, you can't really feed them. If you want to go out and eat, you pretty much have to book the whole restaurant. And if you are cooking at home, it's a nightmare. You need to cook for 30 children. It's just don't make it make sense. On top of that, the other part of it is he was also thinking this is a 40 years old kid, and he was saying for 30 years old kid, he was considering about what about shelter, what about house. Our house is small. My house is only 700 square feet, so it's like very small. So he's like asking, hey, what about house? 30 kids, how are we gonna feed them? See, so he thought about it. It's like impossible to have 30 or 60 kids, but the key question is that what change with that effect? What is the effect of that change in you and me? Okay, that's the key question. What effect that has in you, that have impact on you? So which what I'm going to. I did ask a lot of people. One of the problem often I found whenever I ask this question is that they try to reference back memory. Means that people like to see, I read this and I read that, I read this article or I've seen this, where back where parents have multiple kids or they're friends with a lot of siblings. But the problem is that what I just shared, what I just exactly asked, you don't have a reference, you don't have a data point. I will bet you don't have one. The reason why is that in today's environment uh, there isn't an example for us. It's more like you don't see an example where a man walk around naked. You don't see an example where a woman walk around naked without clothing, any clothing, completely no clothing. So you don't have that example. Is the same reason why you don't have a reference for this. So the rationale behind it is that if a man or woman walking around naked without any clothing, what effect it has, right? So that part we can't even digest it. We don't even able to comprehend. The reason why is that because there is no example. People can't do that. It's the same issue with having 30 kids or 60 kids. But then it plays a very, very vital information here. This is something important that I just realized that how did we miss this? How did we even realize this, right? So the so you don't have a reference. That's the key things I would like to share. No matter how you wrap around your head, you can't relate to anything. You can't zoom into specific time frame or history reference it and say that this somebody have did this and blah 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 and and so have experience this. What I'm saying is that this is completely novel, and you have to really think through what it means to have 30 or 60 kids. So let me give one immediate thought process that I thought about it. One is you can't feed all of them in a home. You can't fit all the children, all your brothers and sisters inside a house. So what does that mean? The value of a home, house, fixed environment, fixed home is not valuable anymore. You don't value it completely. You don't even want it when you have 30 or 60 brother siblings. You will not want it. Okay, that's one. Keep that in mind. Two is where you will not have privacy within siblings, meaning that you don't have your own time. I mean, your own moment, which means that you will not have this luxury of going inside your room and lock yourself in, or you find your own spot that you can be sitting alone by yourself. There is none, next to none. The reason for that is that you are constantly surrounded by your sibling. They may not need your help, but they will always looking at you. And then you might interact with them or they might interact with you. So that is it will start from the early morning to the late evening, late night, where you finally end your day. So that is the mindset. You will not be alone. You will always have this engagement with your siblings. You won't, because the reason is that simple. The distance between you and your sibling is shorter compared to today. You can sit in a room all by yourself while your sibling is far away. Even on your dinner table, you're actually a few meters away from your sibling, a meter away from your sibling, usually it's a meter away from your sibling. But if you have 30 or 50 siblings, impossible. Okay, so you probably need to restructure how dinner table will look like if you have 30 or 60 kids. It's impossible. You can't even imagine it, right? Because nobody have done it, nobody have made it. So I don't know, somebody gonna say, hey, no, somebody did it and stuff. So that's one. The other is space. Space is one, house is one. The other thought process that I often find whenever I talk to people is that they assume responsibility. Usually it will be like a bigger brother. If you go ask that question, they immediately say, oh no, this is a lot of responsibility and stuff. But one thing they don't get it, this is where the problem is, if you don't get it, is that if you have too many siblings, the responsibility is less. The reason for that is because your sibling will help you. They will tend to help you. This is where I kind of noted, I just run a very loosely search. I try to figure out, hey, what's the difference between China and India? Okay, I just want to have a little bit of grasp, try to understand, hey, what's the lifestyle between, because these are the densely populated area, where China has this controlled society and India is pretty loose society. They don't control much, but even though divide and conquer plays very well there, but then it's loosely. So I kind of wonder what's so different in India, China. So the immediate control, one of the tourists, one of the visitor there, long-term visitor there, observe is that in India, wherever she go, people come forward and offer something meal, or even have a conversation with her. While in China, it's more toward how to say, it's a bit not as close as India, which is why I kind of noted that the difference is that where people offer. The key thing is offer. And then the other thing is engagement, where the engagement. They do engage in China as well, but just that the engagement is completely different. How how close you're engaging with. So that's where I kind of I noted what the mental state process that I would expect would change if we are staying with our siblings. If we have multiple siblings, okay, like 30 or 40. Okay, the numbers are just loose, right? It's not really has any value, but the key thing is number. How large is the family? Okay, so so the key part is that I want to stress is that the distance between you and siblings matter. Okay, that what address. Okay, now back to why I thought about this. Okay, you see, I have only 2 kids, and when we are having a third kid, I was really struggling to accepting the third kid. The problem I have with me is I was afraid, and I wasn't really, afraid, and then all the responsibility come with having third kid. But here I am talking about having, positively about having 60 kids or 30 kids, right? So that's a huge change, mindset change, and the change is important. The reason why I even give a thought about it is one thing I kind of noticed is that in Christianity and Islamic religious space, you know, back in Abraham, if I'm not wrong, you guys correct me there, where God tell the people is go populate the planet like the stars. Okay, God say go populate the planet like the star. So I try to understand what does that mean, right? I try to figure out, hey, what does that mean? Why did he say that? And then here people are really, the news, the feed that we're getting in, majority saying that we are overpopulating the planet. You see, but God say go, go populate the world like the stars, right? So it's like stars or sand or grain, it's just the number is huge, right? So it's like it just don't make sense why. Then I try to dig into, okay, the question before switch to why, we have to dig into value. We need to understand the value, right? See, we need to know the value of it. What is the value of having a large family? And if you really understood, right, if you really, this is where I came to about the data point. When I dig about the value about having a large family, I find it's a bit troubling because I'm not able to find it. I don't have a data point, and because majority of family, if the value is clear, if everyone aware the value of having a large family, people will have done it often. You will see around your places people who have large family. But what do you see today is when you look around, people don't have a large family. They'll have 1 kid, 2 kids, even worse to worse, they don't have kids at all. That's how bad is it the trend is going. So when the trend goes like that, then you can understand and know that information is being suppressed somewhere. It is not getting out. Why is that so? So this is why I end up looking at the value, try to figure out, hey, what's that value have for me, for you, for everyone else having a large family, which is why I put the number 60 or 30 family members or brothers. What positive impact that has in you. So, which is why I kind of immediately noted this, that the engagement with one another between siblings will be better if you have more, because you have an option. Today, if you want to talk to sibling, you don't have that much option. If let's say you have a different understanding between your brother and sister, that was it. You don't have anyone else to leverage. But if you have a larger larger pool of siblings, chances of one or two of them kind of agree and line to you is much more higher, which makes it more reasonable, right? So, and on top of that, the other thing that I think somebody, my uncle pointed out that external influence will be less because everything is will be around the family. You won't find the need to get out. You don't have the find to look at another family. See, you are watching reality show today. Most of the majority of people are, if I'm not wrong, and I'm not watching, but I kind of noticed that I was an uncle. I noticed they are watching reality show. You are watching somebody else action, somebody else movie. If you have a large family, you don't do that because you will watch your own family. You don't watch another person's family's life. You will watch your family life, which why it matters, right? Which is why I kind of noticed the value of it. You don't even you don't even want to see what another person doing if you have large number of children or family, okay? Because your time from day start to end, you pretty much helping out the family and then getting it up. So the key, the which is why I kind of wonder about this, try to understand, hey, what's the value of it, and then we go to the shady part of it is, you know, why this is not there, why this information is not there, you know, why it's not visible to us. The majority of people who implement policy for things programming our head are eugenics. People want to depopulate you. They want to remove you, control you. They have the upper hand in saying what is good and right, what is good and bad for you. For example, the Gates, the Gates family, it's not by generation of the Gates family, they've been doing that. Okay, even the foundation that set it up, the main objective seems like it is that purpose. So everything else, from the top level down, is to control and manage humanity. While God is saying that, hey, go out and populate the world like the star. The question is, the final take question for you is, you going to listen to man or God? It's your choice.